Doncic looking. James, corner, Reaves, three-pointer. No good. Rebound McDaniels. It's over. The T-Wolves go up 3-1 in the series.
You've got to love playoff basketball. Game 1 today delivered. Game 2 just as good. The Timberwolves holding on for the Game 4 win. They're now up 3-1 in this series with a final score 116-113. Welcome into Playoff Central Live. Ashley Shamedy back with Wesley Matthews. We've got Devin Harris as well. You guys, these games today have been absolutely electric. This Lakers-Timberwolves game, 10 lead changes, 7 times tied. An overturned call there in the final seconds, and the Timberwolves able to hang on. Before we get to your comments, let's take a look at how it went down in these final 2 minutes of the game. You got DiVincenzo, misses that. Back on the other end, Reaves finds Finney Smith, y'all's guy. You guys got excited about that one. For the three. 113-111.
But that don't.
LeBron block on the other end.
You got to call
that
out. I mean,
I'm sure that LeBron block haunts people in their, just gives them nightmares. It's gotta. Then Naz Reid facilitating, gives it to Jaden McDaniels. We talked about him in the pregame show, just how much of an impact he makes for this Timberwolves team. This call is the one that got overturned. So it looks like it was out on Ant-Man, maybe hit his knee, but he's like, no. Challenge the call. And then it took a different camera angle, the Hawkeye view, to see that it was actually LeBron that hit his wrist. Fouls called. And the challenge was successful. Here it is right there. That's what it took, guys.
I've never seen a Hawkeye cannon. That new?
They got every angle.
What makes this play even bigger, the fact that the Lakers call timeout initially, the call gets overturned, Lakers lose that timeout.
And then the last possession for the Lakers, corner 3, no good. Timberwolves hold on.
Living dangerous. I'm fouling in that situation.
That is the ball game. 116-113. We had Ant-Man play the entire second half, 43 points for him. You had Luka and LeBron doing absolute work. Let's go ahead and hear from Anthony Edwards after the big win.
Just tell me what are you feeling right now?
Naz Reid, Jaden McDaniels, DiVincenzo. Man, them boys came up big in the clutch time. Big stops, big shots by Naz, big finish by Jaden, and Dante just reading the game and making the right plays all night.
Let's continue talking about Naz, just the impact that he had in that fourth quarter. And in every fourth quarter of this series, he is 9 for 9 in the fourth quarters of this series. Just describe the impact that he's had down the stretch.
He's the clutchest player on our team. When we need a bucket, coach do a great job of drawing up a play for him, putting him in action, and he makes something happen.
I don't know if he's as clutch as you are, because it always seems like in the moment, you go to another gear. Today, you guys were down 10. You seem to go to another gear. How does your mindset change in those moments?
Man, I've been dreaming all my life for these moments, man. My baby was able to come see me play, and my Azy Pazy, my little girl, she was able to come see me play today, so I wanted to make the most of it, man. I know she's not going to remember it, but she's going to look back at it one day and see she was at the game. So that was what really drove me today.
You're 3-1. You have a chance to close it out on Wednesday in Los Angeles. It's going to be another one of those moments that you dreamed about. How do you get that done in LA?
I just got to continue to work, man. Get right back in the gym tomorrow. The work is what's working, so I can't stop.
All right. Thank you for your time. Congrats on the win.
Thank you.
Anthony Edwards puts up 43 points in 44 minutes, played the entire second half, makes clutch shot after clutch shot, but he gives a shout out to his teammates, Dante, Naz Reid, you got Jaden McDaniels, because they did absolutely make those plays down the stretch. Who impressed you most? I mean, obviously Anthony Edwards with 40 plus points, but when you look at those role players and how they secured this win.
Naz Reid. Naz Reid. I've been talking about Naz Reid the whole day. I mean, you see it. He hasn't missed a shot in the fourth quarter, which is insane. Didn't even know that was really a thing. He plays with energy. He plays with confidence. You know, I love his story, how he came into this league undrafted, and I thought was crazy about that too. But he just shows up. He does his job. He does his role. You see his versatility on the defensive end, what he adds to the offensive end. I mean, he's a big-time player.
I think Naz Reid as well, but you can't McDaniels. Obviously, the 37 that he had, in the previous game. Obviously, he's guarding Luka the entire game. never really gets tired, but still has the energy to find ways to make big plays offensively as well. And, Ant had a lot of help today, did a lot of work, but the help that he's getting right now is definitely, a big part of what Minnesota's doing. And defensively, their ability to guard the pick and roll and to keep Lakers out of the paint.
The Lakers outscored the Timberwolves 36-23 in that third quarter. They had some elite shot making. I mean, what could they have done differently down the stretch, or was it just one of those games that this is how it unfolded?
Sometimes that's just how it is in the league. You have moments like that where it feels like there's no way we're losing this game. Everything's falling. We got a harmony about it. I mean, they switched their starting lineup to start the second half. They saw something that they identified. They went zone, took Minnesota out of their rhythm, so it was like they did what they were supposed to do. Minnesota just did a little bit more. Sometimes it's like that.
And now they lead the series 3-1, and they're going to go back to L.A. to potentially close it out. But let's go ahead and hear from Lakers head coach J.J. Redick after the game.
JJ, you made the change of the lineup to start the second half and went with those guys the whole way through. Was that the plan from the start, and how did you kind of manage what you were going to do?
No, it wasn't planned, but we just made the decision at halftime.
What do you take away, I guess, most from a kind of an emotionally difficult loss like that, in which you had yourselves in pretty good shape multiple times and they just kept coming back?
Well, we certainly played well enough to win, and we gave the effort to win, and not a planned thing to play five guys an entire second half. We asked them at the beginning of the fourth quarter, told them we had 2 extra timeouts. If you need a sub, let us know. Those guys gave a lot.
JJ, how much stress did Ant put your perimeter defenders on there in the fourth, and just how did your guys, I guess, at times fight and compete and keep him to space, but ultimately kind of ran out of gas against him?
Yeah, I mean, he's a difficult player, and I think there's certain lineups that you can look at that they play that we could have mixed in some different things when they have their shooters out there. It's tough to kind of mix in fires. We tried to fire multiple times. It wasn't communicated well. We did end up, trying to blitz him. He raced it both times and they scored. So, he's a very dynamic offensive player.
What was your vantage point on the inbound that was a turnover?
Well, let's just start with Luka got tripped. I mean, that was a blatant trip. He doesn't just fall on his own. We watched it. He gets tripped. So we should have been at the free throw line. That's not an excuse for why we lost, but we got fouled, and we had a chance to go up. Again, you work on the end game stuff, and you draw it up, and you tell guys very specific things. We didn't execute it, and very obvious we didn't execute it. So I don't know that's my only vantage point. We just didn't execute it.
JJ, were you concerned at all at a point? I know you said you checked in with the guys at the start of the fourth quarter about trying to find a minute or two there. LeBron has obviously played a ton of basketball in his life, and is there any second guessing for you on that decision?
Not on that one. I think once you've kind of made that decision, and they all are in, you just got to trust them.
JJ, we mentioned the possession battle pregame. They got 10 more shots, 18 offensive rebounds, 3 fewer turnovers. How big of a swing factor were those couple of areas?
Yeah, I thought we played well enough in the first half. Our first shot defense, we should have been up double figures, and that's instead we're down. That's some turnovers led to some baskets, and then the offensive rebound just killed us in the first half.
You said after game one that your team needed to play with kind of the edge and mentality that you guys showed in game two. It seemed like you mentioned the offensive play, but Randle all game kind of was able to be a physical disruptor. What did you make of what he was able to do, and how was he impactful in the game?
As a defender, you're talking about?
No, just flying around the court everywhere.
Oh yeah, no, he's you got to live with some stuff. 22 shots, 25 points. You got to live with some stuff.
Did you think his energy though?
No, he's been great all series. Yeah.
Thanks, Coach.
As Coach Redick also saying that they definitely played well enough to win. Obviously, things just not going their way. Those 5 guys that he came out with in the second half played the entirety of that second half. But what is it about Minnesota? Is it a matchup problem? Obviously, Anthony Edwards, we just got to break down a little bit more of his play and his game. And, I mean, it got chippy there from the start. And I think it was in the first half, he and LeBron kind of going back and forth. Like, this is Anthony Edwards' moment, time to shine.
I mean, we saw this last year in the playoffs against Kevin Durant.
Yeah.
Right? He loves these matchups, and obviously it brings something else out of him. But he's a matchup nightmare.
Yeah.
With his ability to space the floor and how he's increased his three-point shots. Obviously, he's athletic enough to get to the rim, but defensively, he's bringing the energy. And that's what leaders do. You know, you want to see those guys take the matchup. You want to see them go at it. And you got to understand that LeBron's been king of the NBA for such a long time. In order to get through to that, you have to go through that. And that's what Anthony Edwards is doing. He's taking up on the challenge. He wants the challenge, and he's also bringing it offensively. And that's what top-tier players do in the playoffs. And that's what we saw from Anthony Edwards. And obviously, he can give you 43 too and play in the whole second half. But that's the type of intensity that you expect in the playoffs. And like I said, this team got to the Western Conference Finals on Anthony Edwards' back. And he's trying to lead them back to that going through the Lakers. And he's bringing effort on both ends.
Wesley, as good as Anthony Edwards is he the most annoying guy to have to play against when he plays like that? And just his confidence, yeah,
you're gonna have to you got to calm yourself because he's gonna bring that energy to you. I mean, his ability to get to the basket, you think that you have him, but his body control, the fact that he can move, play side to side, or play off of 1 foot, play off of 2 feet. He's starting to understand spacing a little bit more. And yeah, when someone's having fun like that, they hitting you with rock, jab, 3, and they're smiling, and then they're pushing you in your chest and all that. Like, absolutely it gets to you. But his ability to hone in a little bit more, what I like a lot is his rebounds. He had 9 today, 4 of them offensive, which means he's not just saying like, hey, I just need the ball. I'm going to go get it. I'm going to make sure I'm always a part of this game. And his ability to play make and facilitate. We see that growth with him right now with 6 assists, but we know he's going to shoot threes. We know he can put you in the basket. Him starting to figure out the intangibles, the leadership stuff, taking on the challenges stuff. Yeah, that's a scary man.
Anthony Edwards, 5 of 10 from the 3. Those offensive rebounds absolutely killed the Lakers. They had 18 for Minnesota to the 11 for those Lakers. But we haven't even talked about guys like Julius Randle, too. He put up another 20-plus point game. We mentioned it in the pregame show just how phenomenal he's been, especially in this postseason and this playoff series. And he delivered once again tonight.
His physical presence, right? Taking advantage of the small defenders, playing bully ball down low, his ability to shoot the 3. But like I said, he didn't play in the playoffs last year, so he's been waiting for this type of moment. And obviously, when they made the trade for Carl, for him, he wants to prove that his worth is down there. And I think you do that in the playoffs, and he's bringing a different level of intensity. And he's a matchup problem, too. JJ said in his press conference, we have to give up something. But obviously, he's giving you that. When Ants get off the ball, they got to go to another guy to get them a bucket. And Julius Randle can do that in different spots.
Absolutely. He has been phenomenal. Those 25 points in 42 minutes. And, not to mention for LeBron James and Luka, what they were able to do tonight. LeBron James is 40 years old. He's playing 46 minutes, 27 points for him. I don't know if it's shocking anymore when it comes to LeBron and his endurance. And I know he obviously works really hard on being able to stay out there. But for both of those guys, we mentioned in the pregame, they both have to deliver, and they did tonight. But who else do we need to see kind of step up if they want to try and extend this series?
Honestly, Reaves was obviously in foul trouble early. So being scoreless, he still picked it up, finished with 17. Luka has 38. Bron has 27. Rui has 23. This is really one of those games where this is a tough-fought NBA matchup where, you don't want to blame anything on a call but that's sometimes how you split hairs. If they keep that call the same and the ball's out of bounds and it's the Lakers' ball, who knows? Maybe we got Luka magic. Maybe we got Bron getting downhill and now it's a different situation. But, it's the margin of victory is so small, and we literally saw that from a Hawkeye camera.
We saw all 5 of those starters play big minutes except Jackson Hayes, because you had guys coming off the bench like Dorian Finney-Smith with playing those 40 minutes. So now they go back to L.A. for Game 5. Is this is obviously the Lakers, they need to make some adjustments. They need to figure out the matchup problems. But how do you foresee this Game 5 back in L.A. going?
It's going to be similar to the last 2 that we saw. They're going to be hard fought, but who can execute better we saw in the early game today, when it comes down to the last 5 minutes of the game, it's going to be a close game. Who can execute better?
Yeah.
Minnesota has proven that, no lead is safe. They can come back from anything. But, you got to be able to get stops. You got to be able to execute offensively. And whoever can do that to the highest of their power is going to probably come out victorious.
This series has been everything and more for the NBA fan, for the basketball fan, just someone who just wants entertainment. It has delivered. Let's hear from head coach Chris Finch when we get back here on Playoff Central Live. Welcome back to Playoff Central Live. This one was as good as it gets. The Lakers at Minnesota. They're trying to even up things, but Luka Doncic coming off just a 17-point game. He played through an illness in game 3, and it was all Lakers to start this one.
It's just shifty. Just change of pace and change of direction. I mean, not pace, but it's stop and go.
Change of direction to get Dole, then a step back 3 over Randle. Doncic had 13 first quarter points. He had 17 total in that last game. Second quarter here, James, quick release 3. LeBron with 22 points in the first half. The Lakers really controlled a lot of these first 2 quarters. Then Ant-Man just weaves through the paint for the and-one. Still in the second quarter, Luka gets to the hole. Tough layup there. 21 points in the first half for Luka Doncic. So the Lakers lead it by 3.
He impressed coverage right there. That's pretty. He jammed him off the line right there.
Anthony Edwards is not backing down from LeBron James, that's for sure. Edwards with some moves right here, hanging on. He gets the M1.
With the left.
That boy's shifty.
Lakers up by 1. Still in the second here. Edwards gets the steal, but James lands on his ankle as he's going for the ball, and he was down for quite some time. Obviously, you never want to see any player injured, but you see Anthony Edwards kind of seething in pain. Hold your breath for a minute. Then back up and running. Right before the half, that's Julius Randle. Randle had 21 points at the half. Minnesota up 61-58. We are heading to the third quarter now. Austin Reaves, pull up 3.
Julius Randle comes down with it.
Randle fighting through the reverse layup. Lakers up by 2. He is hyped to be playing in this postseason. LeBron James played the entire second half, the starting 5 that he came out with.
You can't stop it.
You used to see that spin move.
Vintage.
As Rui Hachimura makes the driving layup. Lakers had a 10-point lead at this point.
Until
Ant-Man pulls up for the 3. Lakers up by 4. Fourth quarter now. Naz Reid.
Mr. Can't miss a shot.
He cannot miss a shot in that final quarter of the game. Again, 3. Minnesota up by 1. Another role player, DiVincenzo, he was clutch down the stretch as well. There he goes, gets the pass with the and-one, makes the free throw. Minnesota goes up 111-107. Huge block by LeBron James. Austin Reaves finds Dorian. Finney Smith hits that 3.
I remember
Lakers
Dodo
back on
couldn't
top.
make a 3 above the break. Look at Dodo.
Jaden McDaniels with the and-one layup. Naz Reid assists on it. He makes that free throw. Minnesota up 114-113. Jaden McDaniels pokes the ball away. Julius Randle gives it to Anthony Edwards. Slips. The ball goes out of bounds. Minnesota challenges it. And after a tough camera angle view, we saw that it was a foul on LeBron. This is the Hawkeye view, you guys.
That's
So
crazy.
2 free throws for Ant-Man. Luka bringing up the ball. Lakers have one more chance. 6 seconds left.
This is not a bad look.
Wide open 3, but Austin Reaves misses it, and Minnesota holds on with a win. 116-113, that final score. And man, what a big game by Anthony Edwards, but then you had the role players delivering as well, and then of course Luka and James doing what we've seen them do time and time again. Now we're going to go ahead and hear from Minnesota head coach Chris Finch after the big win.
Chris, how do you describe what Ant did there to Yeah, I mean, it's great. Just took over in the second half. Had it going. Just was super aggressive, and I think there's only one really bad shot that he took in the last few minutes. But other than that, I thought he did a great job, and I think everyone else, executed defensively, and we got some second chances down there and stuff like that. So it was a great effort by everybody. But I had a special player, and he had a special night.
In moments like that, is that when you just need your star to be a star? And
yeah, absolutely. And he and Julius had it going all night long. They were really good. We were trying to get a third, fourth guy into the game, and Nas shows up in the fourth quarter again. So I just told him feel free to show up for the first three anytime you like. The last two games, but he was there when we needed him, offensively and defensively, just timely baskets for sure. So
it was clear you needed offense in those last 5 minutes.
Yeah,
something to make them pay for their defensive coverages. But what makes you trust a guy like Nas when he has been playing so poorly for the first 3.5 quarters there?
When you got the back down. We went to him a couple times in a row. That's what you got to do. You got to get him activated sometimes. Otherwise, they'll maybe hunt shots a little bit. And the game had lost its flow. So with the way that they were switching, I thought he could get a matchup that he could take. And then once that went in, and then I thought the next one was a top of the floor three. I was like, ATO was pretty easy. I knew where I was going to go with it, and he delivered. So,
Coach, I'm not sure if the Lakers made a sub the entire second half. With the physicality of the game, did you get the feeling or the sense that you could outlast them from that standpoint?
I don't know. I mean, our guys were pretty gassed as well. We knew it was a quick turnaround for them, from Friday night to tonight, so we wanted to try to take the game as deep as possible, they had some phenomenal performances here. It says LeBron played all but a minute and a half, and Luka looked pretty healthy again. So, but we got enough stops in the end, made a miss, a couple turnovers. So,
Chris, you're down 10 going into the fourth. Can you kind of just give us a description of what it was like on Saturday going into that quarter and your ability to just kind of rally the troops and finish the way you did?
Yeah, I don't think there wasn't any panic. It's been a hallmark of this team of the second half of the season. There's been no real panic. We've been down a bunch. Even in the first half of the season, we were down a lot through, not the greatest play, and then we'd come back. So guys always have a belief that they can come back. We just had to figure out some things defensively. That was the biggest thing to solve at the quarter break. That they were getting loose in the middle of the floor and using that as an opportunity to pick us apart from the 3-point line. So
a little bit of follow-up to what Jace was asking, but what is it about those 5 players that you've closed with the last 2 games that makes it so synergistic?
I think it's a perfect blend of passing and shot making and activity. They really can play well off of each other. Probably that group hasn't played a ton together, but at this point in the season, I think they're comfortable. I think defensively, there's enough grittiness, and that's not to say that the other guys aren't, but those guys just lead with their physicality, I'd say.
And then you mentioned Nas on both sides of the ball. I mean, in the crunch time, guarding out on the perimeter, the 2 main guys, that's kind of a revelation.
Well, he's been a really good defender at times. Last year he was really good. This year he hasn't always had it, but this tonight and in the playoffs he knows that's what we need him to do. And I thought he did a great job of just sitting down and guarding and standing up those drives.
Coach, in the third quarter, you guys started blitzing Luka out of the pick and roll a little more, which kind of sparked Austin Reaves knocking down spot-up threes and Rui kind of creating out of the short roll and on that second side.
Yeah.
What are some of the challenges that kind of go with either shifting that pick and roll coverage or kind of sticking with it and hoping that those defensive coverages continue?
Yeah, I think A couple of those were just like reads by our guys, which we do give them a license to do at times, and especially in the effort to try to keep Luka off balance. But we didn't make the right rotations behind it, so I think it caught some others by surprise a little bit. That's one, and two, it's they're a hard team to put two on the ball like that because there's so much passing out there at the top of the floor with both Luka and LeBron. Everybody's one pass from a bucket, so that's a tough place to be for long periods of time.
Coach, the temptation for Ant in this spot to go for it when Luka's going for it and LeBron is going for it.
Yeah.
It didn't seem like he forced his game until really the fourth quarter.
Yeah, no.
What does that say about him, the maturity to not, overlook your teammates and just force your own game?
Yeah, I think he's growing leaps and bounds in that way for sure. He's always ready for the moment. He was outstanding as down the stretch, and he knows he needs his teammates. And I actually thought that there were times where we could have found each other a little bit better, but he had it going, and you could see in his eyes that he was gonna make the play, he was gonna bring us home. But early on, Julius was really good, and Ant was happy to play off of that. But we need some other guys to step up in the flow a little bit more consistently for the next series and the next game in this series and beyond. So these guys they'll do so. I know that. So.
Huge win for Minnesota, and they were able to do it even with this guy right here putting up 38 points, 5 of 12 from the three, perfect from the free throw line. And this is following up his 17 points, battling that stomach illness in Game 3. Were you guys surprised at all that he responded in this fashion?
Absolutely not.
Not at all.
Man, what a game by Luka Doncic. But wasn't enough as Minnesota gets the win. Let's go ahead and hear from Luka Doncic after the.
Luka, how do you handle the emotional swing of, holding on to win this game when you led it for much of the game and including late, and then, losing and being down 3-1 as you go home? How do you process that as an individual and as a team?
It's definitely disappointing, but nothing has lost. No, we haven't lost nothing yet. It's first win, 4 wins, and we just got to still believe.
And we know that you were not feeling well last game. Can you take us through the last couple games, last couple days, and how you felt and how you're able to respond for today?
Yeah, I mean, mostly laying down, just not doing anything, just trying to get some rest. Today I felt better. There's no excuse not winning this game.
Luka, you guys were tied pretty late into the game in Game 3. Obviously, we're up 10 here in the fourth to start the quarter. What has it been down the stretch? Do you think that's come back to hurt you guys? And do you think fatigue played any factor in it?
This is the playoffs. Fatigue shouldn't play any role in this. Play a lot of minutes, but that shouldn't play a role. I think they just executed better on the offensive end during the last minutes.
JJ said he thought you were tripped in the final minute. What was your kind of take on that sequence?
What do you think? I got tripped or no?
I honestly didn't have a great vantage point from where I was sitting. So.
Oh, I think I got tripped for sure. So we had to call timeout.
Is there any part of being a competitor that you look at this situation and you're like, okay, like we literally have 3 must-win games, and stepping forward into that challenge?
Yeah, it's a fun challenge, and we should have extra motivation, to win these next 3 games. It's going to be very hard. Every possession is going to matter. We got to go 100% no matter what.
What was supposed to happen on the inbounds play after you call timeout? What was supposed to happen? I think you guys only had 1 second, right, on the clock to get it across midcourt, and how did that sort of impact what you guys were able to do?
Yeah, I mean, we had 2 screens, so either me or AR should receive the ball. I thought LeBron was going to throw it there. He thought I was going to put it there. So it's kind of miscommunication, and I got to do better in those situations. That's on me.
Luka, you guys scored a series high 36 points in the third. They were mixing in some hedging and blitzing, which was different than how they'd been guarding you earlier in the series. Can you guys take away anything from that if they're not going to that defense and just the way that you guys attack them and we're generating open corner threes and getting downhill? Can you guys find a way to do that more consistently?
Yeah, I think the ball was flowing in a great rhythm. We were just finding each other. We were playing aggressive. We were touching the paint, which is the most important. And, we got to look at that third quarter. But it all came from defensive end.
Oftentimes in games like these, we'll focus on the clutch time, end of games, to kind of figure out what didn't go right or what did go right. But you guys could have went up by double digits end of first, and then it was only a 4-point lead. They took that lead into halftime. How critical were those end of quarter moments for you guys where it seemed like Minnesota, first quarter, second quarter, really won those moments?
We were up by 10 in the end of third, so I don't think they played a big part. We just gotta hold on to the lead. We can't relax. We gotta keep doing what we did to get a lead, and that's how we gotta play.
Thanks, Luka. Thank you.
Luka with those 38 total points, 13 of them in the first quarter. But, I know he's battling a illness. He said he just tried to lay around all day until the game, but he only had 1 rebound, 2 assists. Obviously not characteristic if you look back at the other 3 games, you guys. Are we just chalking this up to being sick, trying to get back to it and just doing what he can with shot making maybe?
He's always going to be a shot maker, but obviously when you can take away his assists and only let him impact the game one way, that's why you saw the traps, taking the ball out of his hand, not letting him play one-on-one. A lot of hockey assists, but not necessarily a lot of assists that are leading to baskets. But it did open up, the game for Austin Reaves in that second half. He got some open looks. Rui got some open looks as well. So you never want to let a great player see consistent defense throughout the game. And obviously he had a great first half, but okay, you start mixing things up, taking him out of the rhythm, start showing some double teams. Yeah, other guys may get going, but he's not in a constant rhythm. And obviously playing 46 minutes, I think definitely played a factor in fatigue going to him in the fourth quarter.
Wes, was that strategic on Minnesota's end to just try and take away other parts of his game if he's going to score?
Yeah, there's certain guys in this league where, like Devin said, you want to make them very one-dimensional. Luka, Ron, Jokic, guys like that, where they can facilitate for everybody else, and now everybody's eating. That makes them even tougher. I look at this; it's kind of a weird game. Like only 2 people from the Lakers shot free throws, and Bron had 8 assists. Luka, those guys are still trying to figure each other out a little bit. So Bron maybe is being more of the point guard type, like Devin said, trapping him. They're getting the ball out of his hands, making other guys be the playmaker and not just Luka. And on the rebounding front, I can speak for this. It's hard to get rebounds when you got to guard the ball. And they're putting Luka in a lot of these actions. And so a lot of Luka's rebounds come from being the weak side, being kind of off the guy in the corner where he can get the outlets and throw away. When you involve him, you take away some of that.
As Luka said, the series is not done. They still have a chance to extend it as they go back home for Game 5. But Julius Randle has had himself a series 25 points in tonight's game. We're going to hear from some of the Minnesota players next on Playoff Central Live. Minnesota wins it in the final seconds. Another back and forth game. 116-113, that final score. Everyone contributing for the Timberwolves. Let's go ahead and hear from 2 of the stars. You've got Julius Randle and Nas
Been around
Reid,
a little
both
bit here.
to the media.
What did you see in that fourth quarter, and what did it take for you guys to claw your way back?
Just possession at a time. Possession at a time. We just had to get stops. We knew over the course of a 48-minute game we could wear them down, and we got stops. And it's been the formula for us all year. Get stops and then execute what we need to on the offensive end. So we had to play through a lot. We just kept playing.
Nas, you were not in a rhythm early. How did you kind of go in at that moment and come through even when it wasn't your best game prior to that?
Just staying with it. That's something that I've been able to do throughout my career. Obviously this is one of the biggest moments in my career. So just kind of trying to, grow and navigate, as the season goes on, as my career goes on.
You guys had some troubles closing games during the regular season. You dominated the last 2 fourth quarters. What have you learned as a team in those situations, and how much of that is Ant being able to take over when he needs to?
I didn't hear what you said.
I'm sorry. After some struggles, finishing fourth quarters earlier in the season, you guys have dominated the last 2 fourth quarters. How much of that is team learning? How much of that is Ant being able to take over?
I think it's a combination of, understanding who you're playing with, time and situation, and obviously having a player like Ant and Ju. I mean, it's super helpful to the rest of the team, and they're the leaders. So we kind of follow suit and handle business from there. So I think just like I said, time and situation, understanding what to bring to the table.
Now, as earlier in Ant's career, you're here with him, and at the end of games, it would seem like he wanted to go get it himself. I mean, think about the end of this game, and he found you in the middle, and you found Jade in there, and just kind of him not looking just to beat the opponent by
Right.
scoring. How have you seen that kind of grow?
It's been tremendous. I think he kind of picked up on that last summer. I would think maybe obviously with playing with a bunch of vets with the USA, I think that kind of helped him as well, and kind of helped his individual game. Understand, he's gonna get doubled a lot. So just believing in us and trusting us. I mean, he's seen us put the work in, so I think he trusts us now.
Julius, for you, how have you seen the impact of your guys' kind of like force of your size and physicality and offensive glass kind of provide value for you in this series?
I mean, I think it's come as the season has went along, and just learning my teammates, and I've had to like grow other areas of my game. We got like such a talented group, obviously with Ant. We've seen what Jaden and Nas have done this series, and Dante and Akil. Like, we got so many versatile players, and upon my career, I've always been asked to score the ball at a high level, rebound at a high level. But I think it's like the little things that I've been able to do for the team and grow and take joy in. I mean, Nas comes in not playing much in the second half, and he comes in and makes big shots for us. Obviously, Ant, Jaden down the stretch. Dante made a big shot, I believe, as well. So it's like everybody can chip in to like scoring, so it's not always relied on me. And, I take, pride in being able to do other things as well.
Julius, you have 3-1 now on your left, Julius. You're going back to LA up 3-1. What do you think the next couple of days are going to be like between you, coaching staff, just to talk about how to close the series out later in the week instead of having to come back for a game 6?
Yeah, we're not done. We know we need one more. It's going to take everything we have to get that next win. As hard as it was tonight, it's going to be even harder, to get the next one. So we're going to have to fight through a lot, but like we have done all year, we got to rely on each other, play for one another. And, we genuinely feel like if we do that, we give ourselves the best chance to win every night. So it's going to take all of us.
Julius, you played with Dante. He didn't have a best shooting night, but defensively, he was able to step in. He had 3 steals, had a block. Just what are some of the different ways that you see him growing and gelling with the team now with this much experience going into this playoff series?
Yeah, I mean, Tay's been asked to do a lot. He had obviously an amazing year last year, with myself in New York. And he comes here and like myself, he's asked, a lot of different things from scoring the ball, defense, hustle plays, all those things. So, it's been a hard adjustment, hats off to him, but at the end of the day, like, if Dante, as a person, he's an elite competitor, and he's won at every level, so, that's what he puts first is winning, and, his intangibles and everything is showing so far with the team.
This Minnesota team clicking on all cylinders. And when you've got your leader, a guy like this, Anthony Edwards, saying, "I'm the truth," to former President Barack Obama, you've got a confident individual on your team. Let's go ahead and hear from Anthony Edwards and Dante DiVincenzo, both these guys at the podium.
And you're down 10 to start the fourth. Just what was going through your mind about how to get you guys back into the game when you came out so aggressive like you did?
Going into the fourth? Yeah. Anytime I get open, shoot it. Yeah.
How did you feel something different? Like, did you feel like this game was there to take?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I feel like we took their best punches throughout the game and to start the third and then to end the third. So, and I felt like they was gassed going down the stretch. So just trying to, keep my foot on the pedal and keep going.
And through the 4 games of this series thus far, you have 23 assists and only 6 turnovers, which is a lot better assist-to-turnover ratio than you had in the regular season. What's the difference? What are you doing differently, do you think?
Reading the game, watching more film. When you get when the playoffs come around, you get a little more time, you know what I'm saying, to settle down and really lock in with your player development coach. So Sehan's been doing a great job of sending me clips 1 in the morning, 2 in the morning. When we see each other, we talk about it, break some film down. So just everything like that.
And then both Chris Finch and Mike Conley said that you're taking a lot more interest and control into specifically what you want to see on the floor, what kind of situations you want.
That's because of my boy right here. Dante does a great job of coming and telling me like what they doing out there defensively, because sometimes I don't really recognize it. And when he gets in the game, he makes it easier for me for sure, because he tells me like, hey, Sack, they overplaying, you can backdoor right now. So just being able to read the game and then having teammates that looks out for you, I think that's the best thing about it.
Chris. Dante, for the second straight game, this was that 5-man unit that closed the game for you guys. What has been so effective for this unit closing the game on both ends of the floor?
Just being connected. I think the unit is, on the offensive end, you can throw it to anybody and anybody can kind of get downhill, make plays for one another. And when that is, the situation, Ant's up top doing his thing, they have to respect everybody on the line. And he's making the right play over and over and over again. So then you go on the defensive end and we can just switch and we can just be physical and be ourselves. And at that point, it's winning time. And, that's the only thing you're trying to do is win the game.
And with Dante's layup and then with Jaden's layup, I don't know if I don't think you got the assist on them, but you made the initial passes to kind of create those plays for like Jaden's layup and then Dante's layup. You got double and gave like when in those moments you obviously want to look to score, but just kind of what was your mindset as you were facing those double teams and how did you kind of find the open man in those situations?
I think in the previous timeout, I huddled everybody up and told everybody, like, hey, this is what they're doing on defense. So if we space like this and somebody cuts, it's going to be wide open because they're low man. They basically putting 3 people on me. Like, once I drive, they try to trap me. If I get around the trap, it's the third guy coming up as a low man. So if you just equal out and the dude, it's 3 people on the left side, on the opposite weak side of the ball. And if the middle dude just cuts, then they got 1 person to guard 2 people. So that was pretty much what we did down the stretch. And Dante, that cut he made was big time because we had just went over and he cut and he got the N1. So that was pretty much it.
And in game 3, you and LeBron we saw you laughing together today. You were getting very physical with him, pushing him. What's it been like to go against him? And were you trying to make a point when you wrestled him a little bit there?
Yeah, it's gonna be physical, man. I wouldn't say I was trying to make a point, but just let them know that we here. You ain't just gonna push us around all night. I mean, because I'm not gonna lie, he's strong. It's hard to keep him from he posted me up. He got all the way to the rim. I was glad he missed the layup, but he a lot stronger than me. But just let him know that we're gonna be here all night, and I'm gonna be a pest to him. Whenever I get on him, I'm gonna try to get up under his skin. I'm gonna try. I mean, because we played together at USA. He was like a big brother to me. He looked out for me, helped me out a lot with reading the game, IQ, and everything. So just trying to be a pest to him out there.
Dante, kind of along those lines, how in your year with Ant have you seen him grow and evolve as a playmaker and not just a scorer?
Hold on, can you repeat the question? I'm thinking about something. What did you say?
How have you seen Ant grow as a playmaker in your year with him?
Yeah, I mean, throughout the year, he's had, this whole year has been ups and downs for all of us, individually and collectively as a team. So I think the biggest thing that I've seen is, during quote unquote, down times throughout the year of, not necessarily making the right play, he's learned from it and come back and he's had, his highs are extremely high. So throughout the entire season, weathering the storms of up and downs and different guys in lineups and trying to figure out and get guys comfortable, when it comes winning time, dude knows how to win. And that's flat out what it comes down to. He understands watching film what they're going to do. And no one's out here trying to get numbers. No one's out here trying to prove a point. We're just trying to win a game. So when he's watching, film and making quick decisions and being himself, you can just see a different level of him being locked in. And him being, 23? Sir. Young as hell. So being 23 and being able to do that is really special. And being able to, listen to everybody. He doesn't have to do that. which he's willing to do to every single person on the team, and it just allows us to, be connected and be on another level.
And you look across the way, and it's the Lakers. LeBron's having a game. Luka's having a game. How are you able to sort of recognize the moment and not shrink from it? Because a lot of people get in these spots, stars or not, and are not able to meet those guys where they're performing at. Where do you sit on that?
I don't know, man. I don't even really look at it like a moment. I just try to take advantage of every opportunity. I mean, because, I've been dreaming of this all my life, whether it was football or basketball. So just being in these situations, and now it's going against Bron and Luka. And Luka probably the best player in the game, young player in the game, and Bron is the best player leaving the game. So just trying to, prove I belong, and to all my haters and people who criticize me that I'm better than they think.
Hey, Anthony, when you slip.
Anthony Edwards and the Minnesota Timberwolves in a good spot for Game 5, but can the Lakers extend the series? We'll hear from LeBron James next. The Lakers lose both games on the road. LeBron James, Luka, they played that entire second half, and Magic Johnson weighing in on that says he doesn't think it was smart to play them that whole second half after having only 1 day of rest between games 3 and 4. They're going to have 2 days of rest before this Game 5, but he's showcasing that he only had those 0 points in the fourth quarter. Let's hear from LeBron James now. Get his thoughts after this game.
Obviously, you don't think about winning 3. You think about just getting the next one. And that's the only thing that matters, because if not, obviously the offseason begins. So, it's all about Wednesday, I believe. So that's what's important.
Just so many big plays down the stretch. Did anything particular stand out to you, LeBron, in this one, as to how Minnesota was able to prevail?
Yeah, I mean, it was just, big play after big play, and, they made a couple more plays than we did, obviously.
LeBron, you guys leave here without a win, but you guys were tied with 5 minutes to go in Game 3. Obviously, we're in position to win this game. Why do you think they were able to pull away late? And does the fact that, in terms of a problem-solving thing, does it still feel like this team is close to breaking through against them?
They won the game, but it wasn't like they, completely pulled away. I mean, they won the game, but they just made a couple more opportunities. I think obviously Ant got it going in the fourth. I thought Nas' minutes in the fourth was huge. He had we were trying to hold him off, and he had a good post up with a left hand jump hook, and he came back, with a 3. Every time we were trying to push the lead up. And obviously, I think Jaden had a couple good plays as well down the stretch. Obviously, one of the most important ones was the and one late in the game. We had opportunities to win. We just couldn't close it.
You've said before that you prepare yourself to be able to play as close to 48 minutes as possible. You've literally done it in a playoff game before, but JJ played the entire group all 24 minutes of the second half. What's the feeling like expending that much energy in a playoff game? And then do you think there's any correlation between your guys' offensive numbers in the fourth and not getting any rest?
What was our offensive numbers in the fourth? I mean, I could see the 19 points, but what was our offensive numbers in the fourth? 3 for 17.
4 for 12.
Yeah. We had some really good looks. Luka missed a point blank layup, to put us up 7. I missed a point blank layup to put us up 4. We had a couple opportunities. I don't think fatigue had anything to do with that. We just missed some point blank shots. We were getting to what we wanted to get into, and we just weren't able to convert.
LeBron, oftentimes in games like this, we'll focus on the final quarter, final few minutes, but they outscored you guys, I think, by 6 to close the second, and then by, I think, 6 also to close the first quarter. How critical were those end of quarter moments preventing you guys from having an even bigger lead, or having a lead rather?
It was very crucial. In a postseason game, closing quarters is very crucial. And obviously, first, second, and fourth, we didn't do that. We did a good job in the third quarter, but The first and the second quarter and the fourth quarter, obviously we weren't able to close quarters. So, that's definitely, challenging for us for sure.
LeBron, the third was arguably the best the offense has looked in the series. You guys scored a series high, 36 points. I know they did some different things defensively with the hedging and the blitzing more than they had earlier, but are there things with the way the ball was moving, the way you guys were generating open corner threes that you feel like you can take forward into Game 5 and apply moving forward?
Yeah, we got to continue to work our game. We got to some really good actions tonight. Was able to get some really good looks, like you said, especially in that third quarter. Every game can be different, just because what we was able to find in today's game doesn't mean it's going to be available on Wednesday. They're going to make adjustments. We're going to make some adjustments. So you play the game and not predetermine the game. So we'll see what happens.
LeBron, what were you looking for on the sideline inbounds pass, where you guys were up against the 8-second clock? And then I guess secondly, did you think that you hit enough of the ball and not enough of Ant's hand on the call that was overturned?
First question, I was just looking for somebody to get open. We still had 2 seconds to get the ball across half court, but everybody kind of went to the front court. If I could take it back, in the timeout, maybe just have one guy break open to the backcourt. We still had time. 2, absolutely. I mean, that play happens all the time. Hand is part of the ball. That's what they say. And I feel like the hand was a part of that ball. I was able to get his hand on top of the ball stripped down and out on him. So, I've seen that play over and over before, but it is what it is.
Last question. Well, this Lakers team full of experienced players, so you can never count them out. They're down 3-1. Now they're going to head back to LA for Game 5 on Wednesday. Tip-off is 10 p.m. Eastern time right here on TNT. So, guys, can I just get your early predictions on this Game 5 back in LA? Do you think the Lakers able to extend the series?
Well, that depends on